Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mark Loeffler Experience. We got another great show here for you today. We got Mike Rosehart from London, Ontario. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
So Mike is a serial entrepreneur. He's a former-ish realtor. He's a real estate investor. He invests in the stock market. He's an options trader. He invests in small businesses. He does lending. He is now the He's now the dragon on Dragon's Den. People bring. Well, yeah, man, it's awesome that you can come on. I know that. You're 28 years old. I mean, how many deals have you done over the course of your lifetime? You started when?
Yeah, so my first deal was at 19, so a little over nine years ago. Coming up on 10 years this summer. I've been investing in real estate. So that was my first real estate deal. It's been a wild ride. I've really been enjoying the whole experience and watching myself grow and change in the mindset. And like we were talking about off camera a bit ago, it was just about, for me, finding what makes sense now in my sort of retirement, where it's not about necessarily how much money I'm making. It's about trying to find fulfillment, right, in what I'm doing. And so a lot of that's like health, and the mindset is all about what is a good return on investment, a good return on time, managing for stress. Obviously, I still want to grow. It's fun to grow. I enjoy that. It's like, for me, a scoreboard to see how much I've developed. And so financially, I still will grow, but it's about finding where I should be putting a lot of my wealth. And so, yeah, I had about 80 properties that I've acquired over the last 9 years, let's call it. It took me, I guess 3 years almost to get my second property. So it was a long time between my first and second property. But once I started to get the hang of things and figure out how to buy undervalued assets, basically real estate assets that needed renovations or a turnover of tenants or some zoning issue fixed, you put in the energy, the stress, you go through all that, and then you get a big lift, right? So I was working full-time in consulting. At 21, I graduated from the Richard Ivey School of Business. It's a great business school here in Canada. And I basically put the degree to work by working a regular day job. It wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't something I wanted to be doing. I did it for 3 years. I got promoted every year to managing a small team, but I really just used the job to buy properties. And so then I built a small portfolio of did 16 or 17 properties when I sold off. And then I started JVing after that. Once I had tapped out all my mortgages that I thought I could get personally, I hadn't looked into commercial. I didn't have a lot of available capital to buy more stuff, and nothing had appreciated yet in London. In 2016, 2017, London had no appreciation. From 2012 to 2017, it started appreciating like 10, 15%. And that's when I was really going hard with joint venture partnerships, and I brought a lot of partners on. And yeah, just like most of my decisions lately to take some of my real estate gains off the table and to move into a stock portfolio, into buying private businesses and doing lending, is just about diversification. Multiple income streams from multiple sources is the key to a solid foundation. Investment theory says that we shouldn't have all of our eggs in one basket, right? Like we were talking before about being way too heavy in real estate. And it makes sense, I think, to diversify and to have your assets in multiple locations. And you're not really focused about diversity or protecting the wealth that you have. Whereas now I'm more focused on wealth preservation and, sort of investing for diversification. So that's been a big focus for me.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, it's obvious about return on time too, right? Because I mean, you're 28 years old, you're retired. You're basically, your time is your own for the most part, right? Like you're deciding what I'm surprised you're in Canada right now.
Tell my family that.
Like Brady McDonald in Costa Rica or something like that, right? Like that's where I would be if my family would come along. Mary, if you're watching this, we should just go to Costa Rica right now for 3 months.
If I could convince my wife right now, we're about to have our third child. So it's about family too, right? And leaving everything that we have going on here when she's 7 months pregnant, that'd be a little tough. I would be in Costa Rica.
That might be a little tough. Yeah, that's a harder sell. Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So again, you've closed. So why did you sell some? Obviously, you sold some of your properties to diversify, to de-stress a little bit. How did you make the decision which ones to sell, which ones to keep?
Ones that had good amounts of equity in them, where we couldn't refinance easily. Either the partner or myself didn't have the ability to qualify, or for whatever reason, I thought that it wouldn't appraise well, but it would sell well on MLS. That happens sometimes. I've had appraisals come in 80% of what it's worth because the appraiser doesn't see the value. But you put an MLS, boom, it goes for a great price. So sometimes it's just the appraisal comes in low, or we can't qualify, or there's a partnership where it doesn't make sense sometimes in some of the partnerships to have that partner on board anymore. Like they aren't adding any value, or there's a lot of equity stuck in the deal. It doesn't make sense for us to share up what little profit is left. It doesn't give us a high enough return on investment. And so that's what happens when you pay down a property and all of a sudden the property is not desirable. Like I don't want to own a property in cash. I don't want to own a property with almost no mortgage on it. So there's just no interest. Like I don't have any interest in owning real estate unlevered. Real estate is a great asset class because you can borrow 5 to 1 very easily, right? Or sometimes more if you get into the CMHC commercial space, right? So it's really nice to buy low money down, big deals, amplify your returns. And so you could put, $100,000 down into real estate and make $100,000 return and double your money very easily in a year. Whereas it's hard to do that in public equities. Now, there are some options trading strategies you combined with a public equities approach, and you could get a really, really good return. And that's part of what I've been seeing my peers doing in the space, trading and making, not even trading, but like investing and then trading options on companies that they're, well versed in and making 2-3% a month. And that's attractive to me compared to what I was making in real estate. If I take a lot of the equity that I had trapped in my buildings, if you factor appreciation out of the equation and just use a standard 3%, real estate underperforms that type of investing strategy. And so it's about maximizing return on investment. It's about diversity. It's about all those things, right? And it's nicer to sit, have that laptop lifestyle where you're just trading on your laptop as opposed to, fighting with your property manager about a landlord tenant board or a major leak that they didn't fix fast enough or some issue at the property. You've been down the road before, all that kind of stuff, right?
Oh, for sure. And by the way, I do it all on my phone. And I don't know if you saw my trade on Neo that I did, but I think I made 35% in 10 days.
Wow, nice. Yeah. I'm gonna keep track of your trades now.
You should get on there. I know you're on the group, right? So you should have a look.
Yeah.
I want to switch gears. I want to talk to you about the private businesses because I'm really interested in that myself. I know I've invested in a bunch, and I usually find the person, and they're operating a business, they need capital to expand or whatever. So how do you go about that? What do you look for? What types of businesses have you invested in currently? What type of business are you going to be investing in?
I've invested. I like anything that is a cash flow based play that I can understand. So for me, like people will pitch me a startup or a tech app or something. I'm usually not interested in those plays because they're many years from monetization. They're not making any cash flow now. And so the only out is to sell it to someone else for more. I don't like investing in businesses, in public companies, in anything really that the only out is to sell it for more. Like let's talk about cryptocurrency as an example. The same thing. It has some intrinsic value. There's a lot of nodes in the network for Bitcoin. It's got a lot of momentum behind it. But if someone else creates a better network and gets better, uptake and better, more people on the network, all of a sudden Bitcoin's worth nothing, right? So it's all in the mindset, right? And so that scares me a little bit when mindset, or I guess what's the word I want to use, like market share could shift with the wind, right? We've seen that happen before. Look at MySpace, look at all the different tech stuff in 1999. We thought that Ask.com, Ask Jeeves, was going to be Google, and then Google took them over, right? Everyone's using Ask Jeeves as like the search engine, and then now no one even knows that is anymore. If you're not older, you probably won't even know what Ask Jeeves.
Older, 1999, you were like 4 years old. 5, 6, 7, I don't know.
I would have been like 8 or 9.
Yeah. I started high school in 92. Okay, so.
Wow, I'm just a kid. Yeah. But you know what? There is some wisdom though in learning from people who went through that, right? And so I was fortunate enough to study and I guess mentor other people who've been through that, and so I can share in those experiences with them. But yeah, I've looked back and like I was still coherent. I was using a computer at 8 years old, so I was using Ask Jeeves. But yeah, no, totally what you mean. I'm for sure young. Like, how can I know anything, right?
Well, obviously you know a lot. I mean, you're retired. You have a diversified portfolio. Like if one thing falls off a cliff, you're fine. Like you never have to go up and show up at an office, at a job. Like you don't have to do anything the hell you don't want to do.
It's good. It's a good feeling, isn't it, Mark?
It's a great feeling. Yeah.
It's sort of the goal. It's sort of what I was trying to achieve this whole time. And now I'm here and it's like, now what? Now it's the next level, the next layer.
Yeah. Well, and that next level is what you're saying is, working with those small business owners or working with, investors who want to invest in real estate, we're maybe the capital partners where they're the working partners. And, that frees up our time. Let's just go to the cottage. Let's just go to Costa Rica and not have to worry about it, right? They worry about the plugged toilets, the landlord tenant board, whatever it is, right? And they just call and say, hey, we need another $50,000 for more renos. And you're like, oh, okay, whatever. And ship it off, right? I like to ask this question of everyone. You started, you're probably actually going to remember. I've asked some people, and they kind of don't remember when they're 20 years old or 19 years old. What advice would you give your 19-year-old self? So somebody getting started, what advice would you give them?
Do I get to know everything I know now?
100%.
There's this thing called Bitcoin. It's coming. You should put it all on Bitcoin. No, I'm kidding.
All on roulette, black. No.
Well, obviously, I would just take the knowledge that I have now and I'd apply it. Let's pretend I didn't know that Bitcoin was going to explode and Tesla was going to blow up and all the things happen that have.
General knowledge, not specific.
Yeah. In hindsight, I would have just bought all the real estate and levered up. But no, seriously, even if I didn't know what was going to happen, as far as appreciation goes, probably one of the things I would have done differently is the speed at which I acquired my second deal, my third deal, my fourth deal. I could have probably connected with better mentors. I was using a realtor as my mentor. That was all I had. So I would have, branched out and met people who were doing this. That would help me a ton. And probably one other thing I probably could have done better is right around, I was maybe 24. I had about 15, 16 properties. I pivoted into joint venture partnering because a friend of mine was like, hey, let's start a JV company. Let's JV. And I split half of all my half with a partner. And I ended up doing all the work, and it was supposed to be like a 50-50. We were both active. I probably wouldn't have went down that road in the same way. I would have probably found, using my YouTube channel, etc., found people who wanted to back it with private debt. So I would have borrowed it as debt as opposed to having an equity partner. In some cases, I didn't even hold title. I wish I could have told myself, hey, register something on title that says you have a JV partnership. I had people sell properties and cut me out. Nothing.
Really?
Property sold. You had no interest on title, Mike. Where's your 50%? I show the JV agreement, like, sue me in court. So I found out that people you don't know, when you joint venture with them, you got to be careful. Even if they're the money partner, they're on title. And so they have control. And so that was something I thought I had keys. So I had the control. I'm the operating partner. I brought the deal. I assigned it for $0 to them. I'm like, hey, I'm doing so many solids to these people. Probably another thing I probably would have done if I was going to JV again is charge an acquisition fee, 1 or 2% just for putting the deal together. It's so under market value that I should have valued my time, and I didn't do that. I didn't believe in myself in the same way that I should have. So a lot of it's mindset.
Yeah. It's so funny. I had Austin Ye on, and I'm like, why are you not charging an acquisition fee? Like I saw his deals. I said, why are you not? And it's mindset, right? It's not having the value. You don't believe in yourself that you're worth it, especially when you're 24, 25. Like, I actually gave him the script. I said the script was basically like, well, it's not really a fee. You're basically lending it to me so I can be a full-time real estate investor and look after this property so that, we can obviously get it done quicker, faster, for cheaper. And by the way, I'm going to pay you back that money anyways when we either refinance or sell the property. So really, you're just lending it to me. Yeah.
It's a good pitch. In hindsight, I would have pitched that on every deal. A 2% acquisition fee on everything would have put, hundreds of thousands in my pocket that we needed at the time to run a good management company. And that went to hell. Partner ended up leaving, and I ended up holding the bag, and we had a huge staff. Like, I think at one point we had like 15 or 20 people of independent contractors all working for us, plus subs. And it was a lot. We acquired a lot really quick. And to buy, 40 buildings in a year, that's a lot to acquire. Yeah. We were doing like one a week, and I was I was the wholesaler. So I was knocking doors, talking to people, finding the deals, and I was closing them, and I was managing it, and I was managing the renovations. And at one point we had 25 renovations going. I couldn't even keep my head on straight. Like, I had like an Excel sheet to remember literally what we were doing at every project because there was so much going on. And so I would have made a lot more money if I just borrowed private money, and I had some investors who would have let me, but I was afraid. I was afraid to take on debt at 8 to 12%. I'm like, that's scary. But if I partner with an investor and they get a mortgage at 2%, we have guaranteed cash flow. It's safe. But it's actually a lot cheaper to bring on debt than it is to bring on equity. 100%. And in the beginning, I had no confidence in myself. I was doing deals. I gave 70% to the money partner, and I brought deals that were 6 figures under value, like 60% ARV. And I was bringing these deals that I could literally just wholesale for my entire equity position. And if I just wholesaled the deal, I would have made more than my entire equity share over the 2 years I managed it. So I worked for free. I did renovations for free. There were times where I quoted, I was like, well, contractor says it's going to be 20 grand. Came in 40. They're like, why did it come in 40? I'm like, grand X, Y, and Z, knob and tube, whatever. They're like, you should eat that. You gave us your word, it'd be 20. And I did. I didn't even fight back. I was like, okay, I'll refinance my property. I'll eat that. That's on me. Yeah. I screwed that up. I did a lot of that. And it was wrong to do that.
Even with all these mistakes, you're still retired at 28.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of success and a lot of, good wind in my sails, right? Like the properties that I have owned for all these years, the ones I was acquiring in 2015, 2016 without partners, they all appreciated a ton, right? So I was levered up and I was already early retired when I started JVing. I was coming from a position of already having the $10,000 a month passive income when I retired at 24. Yeah. So about 4 years ago, I retired with already a good sized portfolio.
Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining me in this interview with Mike Rosehart. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties at the end, mostly my computer errors. I apologize. It was a great interview. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us. If you haven't, smash the like button, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.